I did.
Yeah.
You ought to see me when I'm really getting with
Are we
it.
ready?
Hmm?
Welcome to another episode of Trucker Tank. This week we have the legend himself, Mr. Joe Denney. Been trucking for 49 years, 6 million safe miles. He is in an elite club that's just hard to explain. But during this whole time, he's been an independent truck driver. And he's got BullSnot. He's good. But he's been an independent truck driver. And why I wanted to talk to Joe today was to talk about uh, what kind of changes he's seen in the last half century. Because think about it, almost 50 years, that's a half century. So a lot of changes have come along during that time. So, welcome, Joe.
Hey,
Let's
my
look.
pleasure, brother. Thanks for having me.
Well,
Bull's not proud, baby. Bull's not proud, right?
amen, brother. I know you're BullSnot proud. I mean, you've tried out every single product I've got. So
Hey, old buddy Kyle House. Old buddy Kyle House. I met him down here uh, just a few minutes ago, and he had never tried the tire shine, so I hooked him up. I told him, here, you tell me. He said, how is it? I said, I'm going to let you tell me how it is, brother. Here you go.
well, we appreciate that. Well, Joe, let's start out with a little bit about you and what all you've seen over the years. I mean, you've been trucking almost a half a century, and during that time, there's been all kind of changes. You know, from the equipment to regulations. Oh, you can't hear me too. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Uh, couldn't hear me there. Little issues on the microphone there for a second.
Adjust it if you need to.
Okay, but what I was talking about, you've been trucking for half a century, and or almost a year shy of a half a century, and there's been all kind of changes taking place during that time between the equipment, regulations, and the whole industry itself. I mean, how was it when you? What was it like when you first started driving a truck?
Man, listen, if we had enough time, I could take you. I could blow your mind seriously when I first started driving and how I learned to drive a truck. It'd literally blow your mind out here. A lot of people, but it was quite a ride. Then I hooked up with some wildcatters, gypsies around the Springfield, Missouri area, and just a bunch of good old boys, you know. And like you said, outlaw days, but uh, that's where we pulled our old car tags off our cars and stuck on our truck. And we all had a typewriter. So I've been typing a lot of years. We all had a typewriter because we hauled by the hundredweight back then. I, I, I hauled direct for Sunkist back in the 70s. And that was 1,600 boxes of lemons going to Hunts Point Market for 14 years, back and forth. L.A. direct for Sunkist, 1,600 boxes on a 42.6 reefer, gross at 97.6, 98.3, and it
Wow.
was 73.280 after you cross Missouri going east into New York. So I've never. Now I did run for national carriers back in the early '70s. I run for national carriers when Johnny Jacobson, which owns Trans Am now, his dad owned National Beef Packing, and he started national carriers. And I did drive a cab over for him a little bit and haul swinging meat, but then I went independent, and I've seen a lot of changes. You're right. There's a lot of changes out here, but the the struggle's real still. The struggle's real still. At least we got cell phones instead of telephone rooms to get on that phone to the brokers. So I guess my gypsy life of trucking has always been that I can go where I want to go. I
Yep.
just chase. I I chase the money. If and if the rates, I go where the rates are, where I can get back out of or close to it.
When did the air rides actually come in? Because I mean, the
Oh,
back when you first started driving, they didn't have air rides.
no, we had a air assist steering and them cab overs, air assist steering, and some of them trucks I drove and stuff. And then, oh, it was in the 70s, probably late 70s.
And man, did that make a
Come
difference in
in.
how the ride was.
We still ride on the seat on the floor too. Come on, ain't that something?
Yeah.
Hey, but the air ride does help. It does help. I guarantee you, it does help. But I'll tell you, I'm gonna tell you, I do want to touch on something for the boys that's out here, girls that's out here that's loading their own trucks and getting their own loads, because that's the part of it I'm in. I can't. I'm not a company person. I've never been a company person. I can't follow rules very well, but most of the people out here that know me understand that. I think.
Yeah,
But
I think we all understand that pretty well.
and I but that's because I mean, we ain't gonna get into that part of it because that'd be another show to get into the government part of it. But anyway, here's what I want to say: these loads and these brokers are still the same way. They're gonna ask you what do you want to haul it for. You're gonna shoot them a number, and and then they're gonna come back like I'll have them shoot me a number. Hey, I said, what's this load paying? It ought to be paying $10,000. This is on a 2,000-mile load, let's say, one pickup, one drop, and they'll say, well, what kind of money you need to haul that? Well, 10,000 sounds pretty good to me. Oh my God, my God. I said, well, what are you thinking? Well, we're moving them every day, for 38, 4,200. Oh, I said, my God, I can't see that. I said, now let's negotiate. Then that's when you negotiate,
Yeah, I mean,
and people's leaving too much money on the table out here.
because they don't negotiate. I mean, negotiation is part of business, and when you're an independent owner operator, you're running a business. I mean, that's what a lot of people don't realize is you got to negotiate like you own it, because guess what? You do own it. It is your truck, and it is your time and your miles and everything under the sun. So if they hit you with a low number, always start high. You can always come down. And so they said,
Exactly.
how much you want to charge to haul this load of watermelons up to, South Carolina? Well, $10,000 is a good place to start, and they're gonna come back with a low number, and y'all just negotiate to where you both are happy. And that's
Right.
true. What did you get paid for your
Well,
back in? Hang on, Joe. Back in your early days, how much did you get paid a mile, or were you paid by the load?
oh yeah, we got paid by the hundredweight back then. That's why that old saying come in effect. They load them like box cars, drive them like stock cars, and make them look like street rods. You loaded them. That's why we didn't care. I've come out of Rhode Island. I've come out of Rhode Island for Rubes there in Jersey City. I've come out of Rhode Island 118,000 back into LA.
Wow.
I mean, we got paid by the hundred.
So when did regulations change that started really regulating the truck weights and your load
Back
weights?
when they deregulated, man, that's when trucking started going downhill. And I can't remember the date offhand. I think it's back in the 80s.
Yeah.
When they deregulated, and now, but hey, it's still trucking's great, man. I got no complaints. Trucking's good. Trucking's all right.
What advice do you
It's
have
just a
for
little.
the new drivers, the young drivers that are coming up for getting on the roads, and they whether they're a company driver or owner operator? What advice do you have for the younger generation that's getting on the roads now?
Man, if you don't know, if you're not for sure, get with somebody out here and find out, and get a couple different opinions in the direction you go. Just don't take it on your own if you really don't know, because this business is a tough business. If you're going to survive the trucking business, you got to be on your game, and that's all there is to it. You got to be on your game. And I'm not going to get into these guys that get into these lease purchase companies, leasing these trucks to these companies. I'll just stay away from that because I got my own opinion on that. I've watched too many people, but it's the same as being an independent owner operator. You know, if you're not on your game, you're not going to be in it a long time.
Yep.
Hey, this trucking industry's broke me like 3 times in my life. Broke me.
Yeah, I mean that's what I know. Rates are high right now in certain places, and everybody's looking at all the money they can make with these very high rates and trying to get into it and overpaying for trucks because the rates are going to come back down. You know it, I know it, and if you get too much debt on you, it's going to bankrupt you. Yeah,
Brother, let me tell you though, I'd come out of Florida out of Colorado with this load right here. And let me give you just a quick example. I had a partial on when I left Florida. Well, I only had 4 pallets that paid full load with a drop in Memphis and one in Denver.
yep,
Well, of course, I sweetened the pie, and put me some more freight on it before I got to Denver. And it kind of sweetened, an extra 5,000. Well, you got to do what you got to do. Fuel's high. So I get to Colorado. I get down to Monte Vista, 300 miles from Cheyenne. Well, of course, I'm on the load board. The rates wasn't there, man. The rates ain't there. You know what I mean? They just wasn't there. This is about the best paying load I could get out of there, and it was 7,500. This was about 377 a mile loaded, but you got to realize I did it at 300 miles to get it too,
yep,
and it was just because I knew this certain broker. The only reason I got this load without having to fight for it, but these guys, it's making it tough on all of us when you take that freight cheap. You take that freight cheap, it's making it rough on all of us.
yeah. It really is. That's the reason truckers need to learn
And
to
it's
negotiate.
going to go down, brother. Like you said, these guys, these trucks and trailers are the prices on them, man. And you're right. Sooner or later, it's going to go back down. You know what I mean?
We've both seen it a bunch of times. I mean, there's no doubt about it. It does happen. So,
And
well,
I truck a lot at nighttime too, because of the parking situations and stuff. You very seldom catch me you won't catch me in no big truck stops. I'll be at some mom and pop place out there in the country somewhere, or
yeah.
off.
Well, I hear, or I not only hear it, I know it. I mean, truck parking is still a huge issue. I mean, you see trucks up and down ramps on the side of the roads. I mean, just everywhere. I mean, there needs to be, part of the solution has got to be put more parking. If whether the state does it or the federal government does it or who does it, somebody needs to address the parking issue because it's real and
Son, it's terrible.
it's terrible.
Terrible. They need to address it because you pull in some of these rest areas in the middle of the night, especially me having Dixie, and I want to let her out to go to the bathroom, run a little bit. You go to pull in there, in the middle of the night. You can't. These guys don't get out and look and see if somebody can get around them, and they don't bother them to double park in rest areas or just set their brakes in the curb going in. I mean, so hell, I just avoid them too. That's why I just say the nighttime is the right time. But as you can see, I run papers, so
Yep.
nighttime is the right time for
Night
me.
time's the right time. Another issue that I've heard from truckers out there is inexperienced drivers pretending that the truck parking lot is like NASCAR. I mean, they just drive way too fast through them.
You would. I know I'm probably preaching to the choir here with you, talking to you because you're familiar with the industry anyway. But it's ridiculous, and people would be surprised how many people get run over out here in these truck stops and killed.
Yeah.
Google it sometime and see how many people. Yeah, they think it's a racetrack, but why? Why? Because they're trying to beat that clock. They're trying to beat that clock, man.
Yep. That's
That
true.
ELD, without getting into a big deal, and people don't agree with me. That's fine. Change my mind, and I won't agree with me. But until it can happen, that ELD is nothing but a glorified babysitter for these mega carriers because they got to keep track of these drivers that they've got undertrained. These undertrained drivers are killing innocent families, mamas, daddies, babies, grandmas, grandpas, in the name of safety. In the name of safety.
Yeah.
And our government's letting it happen.
There's too many trucking schools that are just. I mean, it's just crazy how many truckers come in that I still encounter that can't back up to a dock. I mean, they went to trucking school, they got their CDLs, but they can't hit my damn docks. I mean, you know, and back when I owned or was the president of another company before mine, my test for drivers when I was going to hire a driver, I would say, get in the truck, go hook up to that pup trailer, and back into my dock. You got 3 tries. And if they can do that, done. I mean, pup trailers are wiggle wagons. So,
Yeah,
but,
you're right though, man. Hey, and that's another thing. You you guys that are setting at these dogs, when you see somebody having a hard time backing up,
get out and help
man,
them.
I don't care. I don't care if it's 6 trucks down or 7. Get out and help them. And these guys that sit in their trucks when they're trying to back in beside them will literally sit in their trucks with their phones, I think, or just sitting there waiting for them to hit them.
Yeah, and you do see that a lot where they just back right into them because they can't
Get
see.
out and help. Get out and help, man. I don't care. You guys realize how many times I get out and have to look, and if there's somebody sitting beside me, I'll go over and tell them, hey, you want to sit there and watch me hit that truck, or you want to get out here and help me, man? It don't make no difference to me. But I think you ought to do the right thing.
Well, you know, back in the old days with the Trucker Brotherhood, they did.
Sure they do. They still do, man. It's still out here. You got some old brotherhood out here, man. You still got some brotherhood and sisterhood out here, but there's so many more trucks. There's so many more trucks. I don't think people realize it as much. You know what I mean?
I do.
Because back in the day when I started, the way our trucks was lit up, and we had our Canadian lights and our windshields. When you met a truck going down the road, you knew who you was meeting because you just talked on the radio. Right here's your best friend in the trucking industry right here. And people won't use them unless they're stopped in traffic. But that's your best friend out here on the road. But that's how we used to keep up with people. You know, we knew where we was going to meet them in 2 days out in Santa Rosa, New Mexico, between Santa Rosa and Tucumcari or something. You knew to be looking for them. And, you know, that's the way we communicated.
Well, you know, I've been doing a whole thing for quite some time now on CB lingo or trucker lingo.
Yeah, I love it.
What was your handle back in the day?
Truck 'em up, Joe.
That's still your handle today.
Yeah, it's still my handle today. Truck 'em up, Joe, and then I got in a little trouble and I changed it to not guilty. That didn't work out. That worked out very good. And I went to court. When I had to go to court, it worked out okay till I, was told one day to report back, and I turned around to walk out, and he seen that not guilty on the back of that T-shirt. He kind of told me I probably shouldn't wear that back to court.
Well,
but that was just an alias. But Truck 'em up, Joe.
Yeah, or not caught would be a better alias for you. Because you probably did do it, but you didn't get caught.
No.
So,
if I'd have did it by myself, I wouldn't have got caught. Can't go tell it. So. But no, there was some good old days, man. I got a lot of memories. I made a lot of memories over the years. You know, I'm fortunate enough to be able to still be making them. You know, and
yep.
I love positivity. I like to be positive, though, man. I like to lift people up and help people, and I think that's this industry. We need a lot more of that. You know, we gotta quit this arguing, this hate and discontent amongst us, especially on this social media. This social media is the best tool in the world if it's used right.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, if it's used right, and you know, I know you've got a big following on TikTok, and TikTok, except for a few, but the majority of the ones on TikTok, they're all positive. They're not negative. But you got,
they are.
Yeah, but you got that small group that you just want to go, where were these people raised? Where they're from? So it just,
man, brother, what we got going on here?
You got a gift from Zoom, so just all you got to do is just close it.
But
So,
they've been a deal on TikTok going on. Them women TikTok, them women truckers, they've been going on and on here the last few days. It's been ridiculous, man. It reminds me of going and hanging out at my aunt's old beauty shop back in the day, listening to all that bullshit.
well, there's one woman on there, and I was trying to think of her name. I'll do a post on her on my social media. But there's one woman. She got 1.5 million followers, and she's all positive.
Oh,
What is her?
yeah,
I mean,
there's a lot of them, man. Listen, there's a lot more positivity than negativity for real.
well, what she's
There really
doing
is.
is encouraging other women to get into truck driving, and she's just super positive about it. Talks about the money
Yeah,
and the enjoyment, going down the road, being your own boss. She just loves it, and
yeah.
I'll find her, and
You can,
there's an article that was written about her, and I'll post that next week, or I'll post it
yeah.
tomorrow. I'll find it.
You can let this industry we're in. I mean, you can let anything you're in stress you. But this industry here, you can really let it get to you and stress you if
Yeah,
you don't take a break and don't let all them little things eat you up, man. You're the one driving down the road, and there's nothing worse than that mind working when you're sitting here trucking. You got a lot of thoughts going through that head, and you realize people don't realize how many decisions we make in a 60 seconds. Looking through
yeah,
our mirrors, all the decisions we're having to make. I mean, you're looking at the traffic ahead of you, coming out of side roads. It's just constant. You got to be on your game, man. And
yeah.
that mind you can be your worst enemy at times.
Well, let me ask you a personal question. When do you plan on
What's that,
when do you plan on retiring, Joe?
man? Listen, I was 17 years old and had a Pepsi Cola bowling route. I had one of the best year round routes, and I was a Teamster when I was 17 and married with kids. I could have been retired, but oh no, I wanted to drive one of them big old shiny trucks with $60 towels in the floorboard and, all that chrome. And boy, my benefits ain't been the best in the world.
Well,
Yeah, my benefits.
you're probably about like me. You don't ever plan on retiring. I mean,
Here's the only thing that I pray to God about every day is don't let me get to the point. Now, so far my health's been good. I don't take no kind of medication for nothing except what I want to take. But don't
yeah,
I don't take high blood pressure, nothing. But here's what I'm saying is I just pray to God every day that when it is my time to go, that I'm not driving down the road. But I pray for that for anybody out here.
yeah.
That
We've had
or
brothers that
because
did that.
I'll probably die with these hands on this old steering wheel right here, brother. Imagine where I'll end up dying, but I hope I'm not going down the road when it happens.
Oh, I totally agree. And we have had brothers that didn't have died like that, and it's just sad. But you're like me. You enjoy what you do. I mean, I enjoy serving the truckers and developing great products for y'all and going to truck shows and meeting everybody and just being part of the whole trucker brotherhood. It's just awesome. Did we lose
I
Joe?
don't know what happened. I don't know what happened to our camera. Can you hear me? Oh, there
There
we
you
go.
are. And so, that's it brings so much enjoyment. I don't ever plan on retiring. I'll just keep developing products for you.
Good, man, because you're doing an awesome job, and I guarantee there's a lot of awesome people out here. I like going to them truck shows. Hey, if I'm visiting with somebody on here, they say, man, I hope you get out to Seattle or Portland now, the next load. I just try to find and say, I'm on my way. Hey, thank you for this product right here, brother.
You're more than welcome. You know that, brother. And
I got people ask me all the time, you get paid with BullSnot? Do they pay you? I
no,
said, man, listen, they give me some product to share with you guys out here.
yep,
They give me product to share with you guys out here. And I do that because this is the best stuff that I've ever used. And I've used all kinds of stuff over the years because we've always kept our old trucks tip top. And I guarantee you, right there, and I'm a believer. And that's all. And I just like being able to share. And I thank you for giving me that opportunity to share it with people out here.
Well, I appreciate all you do, Joe. You know that. And so, well,
I want to thank Tanner too for we had a little technical difficulty getting on here a while ago, you guys. And listen, Tanner, I wished I could have met you under different circumstances, brother.
It's all good, man.
well, we made it work.
Thank you for producing this show, man, and I enjoy it. Our time's probably up.
It is. Yeah, but
okay,
but
listen, I love y'all and everybody out there trucking. Hey, roll safely, man. Roll safely.
Love you.
Stay blessed, not stressed.
Love you too, brother. And that's it. That's a wrap for this week's episode of Trucker Tank. If you would like to, and Joe's showing you some more BullSnot, but if you could, hit the like button on the BullSnot Facebook page. And if you go to YouTube, just Google BullSnot or Trucker Tank and hit the subscribe button. Sure would appreciate it. Hope y'all have a safe week. That's it. Peace.